Because it's been a while.
It's been a while. We're live, baby.
We're live and we're back.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long month.
Holy cannoli. I mean, for real, it's been like 5 months since we did a show. And we've been busy, but I'm just letting you guys know, we miss you.
We do.
We miss you.
We miss it.
All of our beautiful listeners out there. We have so many new ones that we want to talk to. Defiance, Ohio, San Antonio, Texas, West Monroe, Louisiana, Anaheim, California. I don't know who from Anaheim would want to listen to us, but we haven't been talking shit.
Yeah, go Ducks.
We haven't been shitting about Disney. Milford, Massachusetts, Lansing, Michigan, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. We're in like 33 states now, you guys. And Las Vegas, Nevada. What's going on?
Just like we always do. Thank you guys for all the new listeners. And yeah, we're really happy that you guys are enjoying some of the content. It's been a while and we're back.
Well, here's the cool thing.
Tell me.
We haven't had a show for a long time, but people are picking it up.
Yeah.
And they're just...
and that's without the clips.
Yeah, that's without any refinement at all.
For me to sit down and do our clips, which by the way, guys, it will happen, I promise you. And I swear right now, I'll do it before the end of the year. I need to sit down for like 8 hours where I have just that time.
Oh, it's going to take longer than that, my friend.
But
you know it.
I know, but mentally, I have to have that free 8 hours just to do what I need to do to start at least a good amount to put out there.
Here's the process that we have
until we have a producer.
Well, I mean, until we have a producer
exactly.
that is willing to work for nothing.
Yeah, if you want to be a producer and practice and put on your resume, hit us up.
Well, yeah.
Direct message anytime.
That is exactly what sponsorship would go to. And we've tried and not necessarily failed at sponsorships, but
I'm going to actually stop you right there because they don't know. We had our first sponsorship sale, you told me, and that was awesome. That was really cool. And I get it. I get the, it's like,
yeah, this is a while ago and it wasn't really for money. It was more like, here's a gift card because you helped sell our product. But our number one and only sponsor, Sleeves,
shout out to Sleeves.
They got some person to buy $120 worth of stuff and use our code. So we got a little cut of that to spend at their store. That's how it works. But if you use the code OWT25, then you can take advantage of that and we can take advantage of that, and it helps everybody. So go get yourself some arm sleeves and headbands and other workout material.
Spell out the site so they're not confused.
SLEEFS.com.
Sleeves.com. What a beautiful name.
Sleeve on.
What a beautiful name. And use the code one more time.
OWT25. So I have a bunch of stuff from Sleeves. It's cheap. It's very high quality. It's moisture wicking, and they have stuff like you wouldn't think that you would even need. Like they have inexpensive gym shorts, backpacks. They have like slides if you're into the whole slide thing and you don't want to wear Adidas. But I mean, it's a Florida brand. So
you get behind Florida.
Yeah, South Florida. They're
get some new gear.
They're from
start a trend. Don't be a follower.
Davie, Florida. Davie, Florida.
Hell yeah, Davie, Florida.
Horse capital of South Florida. Yeah, absolutely.
I would say, yeah. There's a small place with huge houses that are that mostly are set up for horses.
Yeah, and the gas stations have like hitching posts. So you're encouraged to not drive if you need some like cigarettes or whatever, to just go to the convenience store. You ride your horse. That's how like cultural it is down there. It's wild.
I love Davie, Florida.
Yeah, well, that's where Raph's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of my territories when I worked in South Florida for ADT. And, Davie was always cool. Davie always had people with money, like they kind of don't flaunt it. Davie's like more settled, beautiful houses, but like they're not in your face. It's like you'll see, it's about the property size.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to.
Well, yeah. I mean, his folks live backed up to a golf course, but didn't have golf course. They still live there. Didn't have golf course access, so they can watch everything. But what was more fascinating than just watching people play golf and not playing, it's the iguanas. that are like running at full speed.
There's no one
in
near.
the field, like chasing golf balls.
And they know they're not going to get killed.
That's right.
They realize
That's right.
that's a safe place.
It's a safe space for iguanas. Shout out to iguanas.
So hell yeah, shout out to our new listeners, and yeah, let's get into it, bro.
Let's get into it. Like we took some trips. Like Juan went to Colombia. I went to Park City to do some skiing. Do you want to talk about your trip to see your family?
Start with Park City.
With me. All right. I went with Paul Wall, our boy.
He was a guest.
He was no, we didn't do a show, but he was. He had gone with us to Austria. So my dad was like, "You want to bring anybody?" And I'm like, "I'll ask around."
For those of you that don't know, that's in Utah.
It is Park City. You fly into Salt Lake, and Park City is about half an hour away up in the mountains, and it's beautiful. It's expensive, but it's
gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's one of the most beautiful places
very pretty
in the country, probably.
Spielberg has a house there that he was having renovated, and it's supposedly one of the most expensive houses in the area. Come to find out, recently, and it's anecdotal, obviously, but the son of a Utah senator who is also the founder of Rockstar Energy Drink, the company. Yeah, well, he founded it and then he sold it. He now has the most expensive place in Park City.
Energy
Gangster.
Energy drink money, I would say, competes with oil a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, a fad.
It'll
go away.
I've seen energy drinks that we've never heard of ever.
Have you ever
even seen it?
Crunk energy drink?
No.
From Lil Jon?
I'm about to one of them, the guy I never heard of, he flies in a helicopter and he starts to try to buy himself into Formula One. And they accepted it, but they were doing so bad that he had a clause like, I'm just not going to give you anybody. You guys suck.
He
got out of it. But
he bought 51% of the club, like right there and then.
I don't even know what he when you sponsor there, you commit a certain amount of money.
Right.
Something happened. The reason I got into that story is because the guy, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Fuck that guy.
The guy
Let's go back to
into
Utah.
Formula One racing. Like,
let's go back to Utah. I'll think about how it all connected.
All right, it was beautiful. Like I said, it was.
I got it.
Here we go.
It's because of the energy drink money. I'm like, I never heard of you, and you're fucking this Formula One team sucking your dick to get your money. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of, and Red Bull has two teams. It's fucking wild how much money Red Bull has.
Wow.
And the amount of money it costs. Now they're building their own engines. Like, it's so expensive. Yeah. You have two teams.
Anyway, and just for that one.
So shout out to the energy drink guy. Let's go back to Utah.
I don't remember the guy's name, but he's from Utah. And his dad, like I said, was a senator.
And he's like, fuck Spielberg.
He's like, I got you.
Rockstar's a big brand.
So we were on a ski lift and we're like going over the mountain past this area, and there were all these construction trucks and everything. And I was like, oh, that place, yeah, that's Spielberg's place.
Oh,
and
really? Was it nice?
It was gangster.
Really?
It was really nice.
Walls?
No, it's just like it's up on the hill to the point where like you don't need to get up there. The only people that can see you are those that are on the ski lift.
Okay.
So, and of course, he's probably only there like a week a year. Right. I mean,
I don't know if it's the same city, but I just found out, shout out to the Nelk boys. They had Post Malone on, which I recommend that interview because you will see what a genuine, awesome human being Post Malone.
He's a down to earth guy.
The most down to earth, coolest, fucking just mellow dude, wants everybody to be happy, to do good. And I got a glimpse of that sidetrack. I got a glimpse of that years ago where there's a short clip of him with like some marachis and stuff, and you can tell he's at a regular house party in a backyard.
Right.
Something I would be at. And you just smoke a cigarette, having such a good
Wearing
time.
a NASCAR shirt.
Yeah. And anyways, I brought him up because he said I couldn't take LA and went to Utah.
Well, he's from Texas.
Yeah.
But that's the funny thing. Is like he's not like a poor kid who made, his dad runs concessions for the Cowboys.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I think
he was delivering pizzas at that was his side job right before the fame just took off.
Yeah.
He went to he went to a house in California, and I can tell they do this a lot in California, the incubators. They had like a house of gamers. And someone was visiting from England, and he's like, I get a vibe that there's talent here. There's something here that's telling me it's going to take us to the next level.
Okay.
And I forgot the guy's name. Is this black dude from England, and him and Post linked up there.
Okay.
And it became Post Malone. Like just
he's like, we're going to get you a platform, buddy. Yeah. I'm going to let you start.
It's really cool. So shout out to the Nelk boys. They have awesome interviews, and they get crazy amount of views, and they're very hated by the mainstream media.
Why would they be hated by mainstream media?
It's they're Canadian. The main guy's Canadian. But it's called Full Send podcast. I'm sorry. The Nelk Boys are the boys, but the podcast I listen to is Full Send.
Full Send?
I think so. Yeah, Full Send.
Okay, well, check it out, people.
Anyways.
I mean, if you're looking for anything else to listen to, because we know that your free time is yours, but I mean, the time where you're not really working.
Was the skiing good?
It was great. It was fun. I wouldn't say it's as good as Austria, but it's probably like 4 times as big. That one mountain was like 4 times
what
as
would
big.
make Austria better, just because you're in fucking Europe? Trees?
Well, the experience was better because you're among people that like kind of appreciate the sport rather than they're just there
Vacation.
to like tour. There in Austria, like there's no lines for like bars. It's just like you ski up and like they churn them out. And in Utah, it's like it's like spring break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. That's their spring break places.
And everyone's American or Canadian.
Hating on each other.
Like shit talking sports people. I did see like 4 Drew Brees jerseys being worn on the outside of like ski gear. So I was like, "What's up, dude?" Who dat?
Trashy.
Yeah. So I mean, but that was the thing. There was a lot of people from Louisiana because it was Mardi Gras. So it was Mardi Gras week, and people were like, "Let's go on vacation because it's the first time we can actually do anything."
Makes sense.
And so they
don't want to fucking stay there.
Everyone was wearing LSU and Saint stuff, and I was like, "Shout out, people!" My dad was like, "Shut up."
That's pretty cool. Yeah, especially since you're a fan.
Exactly.
You're from there. That's pretty cool.
It was cool. But Paul had fun. He stayed for like 3 days, and we rented a Mustang because it was the most efficient car we could get.
Worst traction ever. We
took it out like the night we got it, just kind of bombing around looking for food because we got in maybe like 10 p.m.
Oh, that's good to get you guys used to it.
But we've been drinking on the plane. So we were coming down off that. And we were just like trying to find a place to eat around Salt Lake City. So it was like every turn, there was no one on the streets because it felt like a curfew or something. There were open restaurants, but we were like, Taco Bell, no thanks. But like, fishtailing in this rear-wheel drive car in the snow. Okay. Yes, it was so fun.
Oh, it is fun.
Yes.
I lived in the north and I grew up here, so I've been in cars full circle. Yeah. It happened to me in Jacksonville with ball tires. Same thing. Going to work.
Yeah, that is the same thing.
While sprinklers were going on the road to work, I'm probably running behind in my red Eclipse, and then all of a sudden,
get out there with some dish soap. Make it really interesting.
I've been in a full. We'll get into my car stories eventually because they're fucking, some are horrific, some are crazy. Mm-hmm. But I've been in a full spin where on one of the spins, I see a car covered. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh shit. But luckily, thank God, nothing happened from there. But that was pretty crazy.
Speaking of crazy, let's talk about Colombia. How was your trip?
So guys, I forgot
the pictures are so beautiful. I'm jealous.
Dude, it was long overdue. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. If you still do it, I don't have a vision board anymore, but I like to write down some goals sometimes. And my goal was like, for that year, was like, do whatever you need to do to spend a lot of time down there and see my grandfather. Yes. Like that was my main thing to accomplish is getting to see Pops, like just someone that used to visit me a lot. And I've probably talked about him before. Him and my grandma used to visit us a lot. Right. So it was sad because that's one of the things that I have a beef with COVID and I have a fight in it. So if like anybody ever says, yo, you know anybody for COVID? No, I experienced some of the worst shit ever was my grandmother, no one can visit her. Right. And unfortunately, she was passing away and all there was like a caretaker and fucking live stream. So you saw all of our cousins and stuff to show
everybody who was in country.
Yeah, I believe my brother was military outfit for it. Like it was crazy. So not to keep it sad, switch it over. I really want to see my grandfather, and I had a great time like with that aspect. But when I got there immediately, the first day we fucking went to the mountains, to a nice mountain home. It was gorgeous. It was literally gangster shit because later on I did research and the person that originally built this place, we'll get into that, was he was extradited here. He's free now actually. Wow. But he did his time. Yeah, but like I've looked into him a little bit and he was well connected with the president's family. And he also got charged more for not selling drugs, which I'm sure he was, but like they called him a counter guerrilla. So there's a group of not insurgents, but paramilitary. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
So there's a paramilitary force created originally by rich people who kept getting kidnapped by the guerrilla forces, the communist guerrilla forces in the jungles that were there for like 50 years.
So they hired their own private army.
They're like, fuck this. They're ruthless. And then
it's like Blackwater, but
both got into the drug trade. One is still there because the communists made a deal with the government and they turned in their arms allegedly, and they allowed them. Right now, the election just happened in Colombia. There was 3 people. Two people, a non-party guy beat the Republican, and he was down in votes against a very left former guerrilla fighter. Right. Because part of the deal is like they can be in politics.
I think I read the story.
Long story short, the one they're calling the Donald Trump of Colombia, this old guy, he was on video slapping the shit out of some guy. It's hilarious. They're going to have a runoff. So it's the communist from the mountains versus a guy that's like kind of crazy and without a party. He's like, fuck the left, fuck the right. I'm a rich engineer. Let's fucking do this.
I mean, your perspective is let the guy who has little
political
experience.
I would never, ever go left the way they want to, because we live next to Venezuela and Medellin. That's another thing I realized. There's a lot of Venezuelans now working like the food industry and things like that. They came over in big waves. So that first week in that house is gangster. I'll share some pictures on the account because it was in the mountains. The pool was the biggest pool I've ever been to in my life.
It's like it was like a resort from what
one of the best parts about it is I had some of the best meals of my life because of the outdoor three stove fucking outdoor wood oven.
Yes, sir.
So everything was made with wood, from fucking chicharron, which is the pork belly, fucking everything. So it was some of the best eating. Good time. We spent a week there. The family that got that place for us, they all got COVID. So it was just it was
your family.
It was everybody else, but like the big people that got it for us, they didn't even get to enjoy it.
Wow. That's unfortunate for them.
Here's how famous that place is. Like, just going to like a local butcher, because now when you're in the mountains, everything's a little town. And every little town has a huge Catholic church. And some little towns are kind of cheap. The food's not the best. Other little towns are made for tourism. Right. And we went to one of them, which is called Jardín. Jardín, everybody knows Jardín. It's an Instagram fucking.
It's the place you go if you visit it.
It's very beautiful. It's like 2.5 hours out in the mountains. Yeah. But we've talked about this. Everybody in Colombia that can, they have their house in the city, but they like to relax in their mountain homes. The fincas, they're called. Fincas is the proper term for where we were. We were at a finca. We were at the butcher. The butcher is like, oh, so you guys are from here and blah, blah, blah. They're like, where are you staying? And then they said, oh, we're staying at a house, pretty big house. Like, they kind of just described it a little bit. He goes, oh, you're at fucking El Tuso's house. They're like,
has to be.
They're like, fuck, what? So we're like, okay, that's interesting, you know? One day, when more uncles are coming, we got there like on a Monday, so there's a work week, so more people came Friday to join us for that last weekend. We were there for a whole week. And one uncle that doesn't like any drama or cop shit or anything. And all of a sudden, they were there. They went out to the local village to get something at the store. When he comes back, in front of him at our gate, because it's a gated house, beautiful gate, brick, gangster shit. There's a battalion plus of like military fucking people. There's probably at that time, there was probably like 4 or 5 of them.
Was it actual Colombian military?
You don't know what the fuck is going on.
They're in fatigues, right?
Here's the crazy part. All right. So the story, that's the beginning of the story. I had to put my uncle there because it's hilarious that he had to experience this. The military unit showed up, and on these properties in these fincas, when they're this nice, you have a full-time person, usually with their wife or family, taking care of it. And they have a small house on the property. They have chickens. They're the nicest people ever. The mayordomo is the guy that takes care of your fucking shit, directly connected to whoever owns a house. He is in charge. He was gone. He went on a bike ride. So it's his poor wife who doesn't know how to do this. They're like, come in. So he came in. Luckily, it was my grandfather, a lot of old people. And they were just like, they started shooting the shit. They could tell we were uncomfortable. They started shooting the shit a little bit. Like one of my uncles is like, I'll play you in pool for your hat captain. So he played
awesome.
the captain. The captain beat his ass. We were telling jokes outside. I was with one of my funniest uncles who makes anyone laugh. He has all those fucking cops laughing. They were dying laughing. They're making fun of each other. Like,
wow.
For both. So it was interesting. I have pictures. I'll share those. So I took hidden pictures. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to get pictures of you. They're all fully loaded. Fully in military.
They're ready.
They're a special battalion. They're not military, but they're a special battalion police force. And they're like, we go place to place.
Like state police? I mean, like
it's from the country that are put in different zones.
Right.
Because they're
so it's like federal police. They're not paramilitary.
From what they're really Colombian. Yeah. That's the other thing is you don't know because they all look fucking crazy, but they look. Sure. That's why I took pictures just in case.
I mean, they were equipped to do what they need to do.
Correct. And they were nice. We gave them some drinks, some food. That was it. They left. Actually, I apologize. I fucked up a part in the story. That happened on a Thursday before my uncle came. So we're like, don't tell them or else they're not going to come.
Right.
So all that shit happened. We gave them drinks. They left. Right. The next day, these motherfuckers come back. Now I'm not as happy about it. I go, now this is starting to be abuse, or you're starting
suspicious.
You're fucking with us. Like, even I know you're legit, but now
you're looking for like a
this
payoff.
Time now, homeboy's there.
Yeah, and he's like,
he calls and he's like, you have papers? He goes, I don't have to fucking let you in. You know that, right? Like, I don't even know why you came in here last time. You're now fucking with the guests. Like, what are you doing? And he just went to town with them. They basically went in, U-turned, and left. That's how boss the guy is, because he knows what the fuck is up. Yeah. He's in charge of that property. He called the boss. The boss is like, fuck this guy. He goes, do you want to talk to the
El Jefe probably was like, I'm gonna call your boss in the city.
He goes, do you want to talk to the captain? And you could hear, fuck that guy. I don't want to talk to anybody. Fucking tell him to get off our property. Yeah, exactly. It was gangster.
That's the way it goes, baby.
So cool start to the place. Long story short, Colombia was cool. I had some teeth work where I had a wisdom tooth.
Yeah.
Really shout out to anybody listening, because if you need anything medical, especially as expensive as it is right now, the amount of Americans I saw, especially with like their Colombian girlfriends and vice versa, and the English I was hearing, sometimes even European English,
sure,
they're all there for medical and dentist shit and everything, because it's high tech, as high as it gets, good doctors, and it's way cheaper.
Right.
The dollar was up to 4 times as much as theirs.
Wow.
After the Trump guy won, it went down, and they're like, the new guys effect, it's hilarious. The dollar went down to like 3 and change, which it hasn't been in a while.
Think about it that way, though. I mean, it's still a win. If you're in the States and you need something done,
yeah, of course.
Take a trip, take a vacation. It's a medical leave. Go sit on the mountainside to recuperate from your dental surgery.
Recently in Jacksonville, a guy's like, yeah, something happened to my tooth, and the doctor's like, he's older too, and the doctor's like, yeah, probably about $5,000 if you want me to do this special thing. And I go, number one, he's ripping you off, because the guy down there told me old people can't get that. They always do. They sell it to them, but they always rejects it, so it falls out, and there's nothing you can do. Exactly. You just lost $5,000, and I go, $5,000. I go, that was like,
it's more expensive than
that's like a whole bottom down there.
An extraction and an implant up here is like $3,000.
No, the implant was like a nice high tech implant, like 5, he said, or at least he was overcharging.
Exactly. I mean, you're preying on
you're
people.
Exactly, and especially if you're recommended to someone that old, which I know it will be rejected.
Well, there are other considerations when older people have to have surgery, and I think dentists are especially sensitive to that. Just from talking to my brother about it, it's just like,
we need to bring him on.
We do.
That'd be pretty cool. So I was down there for a month, guys. So sorry, I'm still on the story, but the third week, we now get to go. We were this whole time, and my mom kept getting messages like, are you fucking still kidnapped? Because we were on my dad's side of the family. Like, when can we see you? You're kidnapped. So finally, the third week, we get to go with our mom's side, and we get to go with one of my favorite people who owns a jersey company.
Yes.
He just got the second contract for a team that is being relegated to the main thing. So he already has a team in there.
Right.
And now he's getting a second team that was in the under, like, if you suck in soccer and clubs, you go down. In England, in Spain, everything. It always happens. Cities vice versa.
There's always that last match of the season
between
the two losers of the top half of the table. Exactly. And that's like it's blood sport.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yes.
From being second division to the Premier. So yeah, shout out to him. We went to his mountain home, which I thought it was beautiful. It's by a famous La Piedra de Piñol, which is this huge rock that's like a tourist attraction.
Okay.
I could see that from the third floor, from the room I was sleeping in. It was breathtaking, awesome. Being in the homeland, I was refreshed. I came back, awesome. And I stopped doing my company with the social media. I was kind of burned out, and that's kind of like one of the things. It's like, stop that fully, stop doing it like even on the side, and concentrate on other stuff. So it was a really awesome trip for so many different reasons, and I can't wait to be back.
Yeah.
And my brother came one weekend with his girlfriend. It was her first time ever on an airplane traveling, and she went to Colombia.
Oh, wow.
So they stayed at a beautiful hotel in Medellin, which is probably like a $500 a night, but it was like $140.
Sure. Where is she from?
Jacksonville. Yeah, figures, right?
I'm not gonna shit on Jacksonville. It takes enough
I
time
will.
anyway.
I will. Because the first girl I dated there was like her country, like didn't, wasn't cultured a lot. Very, very country girl from Florida.
It's kind of like South Georgia.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing
It's not Florida.
it's different. Like Jacksonville and Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando is very different.
Oh yeah. I mean, Orlando is like, it's almost this metropolitan, almost this like, it feels like it's as big city as, like a Dallas or something like that.
It does have a small town vibe a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
in some parts.
It does, but it's, that's probably just because it's a scaled down version of what you think a big city is.
Absolutely correct. I think that's a great description. It's a scaled down version because it is a big city vibe, but a scaled down version. And I think what I just said before applies to like if you go to the same bars or places, it's like a good small town feel.
I'm telling you, man, if you go to the same place more than twice a month, they feel like they know you.
They know
and it's like, okay, yeah, it's the usual, like bring it on.
So yeah, that was just a little catch up on some of the,
like we said, it's been a while. We want to make sure you guys know what's going on with us.
Yeah. But now we're trucking forward. I'm helping a family member in Jacksonville with an empanada company, with not just empanadas, but like that other products that are frozen.
Right. What I need to know is how can I get?
I can't do it yet.
How can I get
freezer in my house?
An online order?
No, there's not
within, and I'll be graceful with it. If I order 2 weeks in advance, how can I get it delivered frozen to my door?
Oh. That's not the current business, but I would just deliver it to you. But I need a freezer. I need the freezer.
I'm telling you, I'll blow it up if you can get it delivered.
The thing is that the scalability. So like the long story short was full control of the company that was in the partnership. The partner is no longer there, so that's pretty cool. So
tell a little bit more. I mean, if your family member, I know it is, but
just
the story about the company.
It was just it was a lot of passion from one person who's basically had the recipes, knows how to make the delicious stuff, and the other business partner saw it more like a cash cow type of thing, not like no recipes, like
just do it and sell
awesome
it.
Person, but it was just two different ideologies of like how the business. So one person wanted to be bought out. She came up with a number. Like, if you get that number, fucking, I want to be bought out too. That type of thing. So they eventually settled on a number after a few months, and long story short, it worked out.
Good.
And now I was up there just in the transition phase, right, to help out. But it's a very small company, but they get a lot of sales. So they mostly deal with restaurants, but there's a lot of walk-ups of people that have word of mouth.
Oh, good.
That's the issue. Is like, how could it be scaled where the recipes and everything are safe, but there's still labor for work that the main person shouldn't be doing? I don't know. So anyways, that's what I'm currently working on.
Your family is not going to be doing the work forever. You have to, when you're talking about expanding a business, somebody else has to be doing the work. And the person that owns and oversees is going to be making sure that the quality of the product is the same. And the family business is kept intact, right? That's the whole point. So there has to be somebody who is willing to take up that mantle to say, we are going to preserve the quality. We're going to make sure we follow the recipes and make sure the quality is intact.
And guys, just to give you an idea, in Colombia, in the first mountain house, just from going to a shitty store with like subpar ingredients, just handmade empanadas from the person in that place. There's fucking people in their 60s. They go, we've never had anything this good.
Wow.
And they're asking for information on what she used, what happened. These are people that live in the heart of where this product is from. And just this bullshit handmade one, some of the bad, to me, it was delicious too. I thought it was fucking incredible. But it's just like, that is the quality where I would put up those empanadas versus anyone from that are Colombian style.
Right.
And they're gluten free. That's another marketable thing that I don't think I've ever really heard someone push.
Especially with a small business.
Correct.
That's incredible.
The issue with that, and we'll leave this subject soon, is the person running it is older. Does the person want to stay in the mindset of like, this is just going to provide for me now? Or can I take it a little bit bigger, but do I have the energy to? And I want to lean towards that, where I want to learn everything. Sure. I would love to eventually take it over at some point.
Do it. That's my advice to you, is to make sure you're a part of it, at least partially, to make sure that like you're contributing your marketing expertise to it.
I can't even use that yet, but I got to learn how to make shit. I got to learn recipes. I got to learn.
You are obviously consuming them, so you know what they're supposed to taste like. So you'd be able to tell a knockoff, right? You'd be able to say that that's not right.
We don't test them. No. Here's the thing. The taste will never be fucked with, because the ingredients in the recipe that makes the filling, that's top secret.
Right.
So that will always be made for whoever the fuck is just folding
family.
The machinery.
Sure.
Like, we have exactly. So it's interesting.
How would you scale it? That's a great point.
It's
you
so
need
crazy.
A gigantic thing.
It's so crazy. and I'm trying, hopefully, shout out to the Jaguars. I met someone that works for them.
Yes, shout out to the Jaguars.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And hopefully there's a small door open where I can maybe try to get this product into the Jaguar Stadium.
One stand. That's all you would need. Can you imagine how little you would spend having two people work in a line at the Jaguar Stadium? I'm just letting you know.
3 to 4 minutes each. I'm timing on how long it takes to cook.
Sure. I'm just thinking like smaller venues like the Orlando City Stadium, where they've got a sausage vendor and they have like 2 or 3, but it's the same company, and they have 2 people at each stand, and there's a line. It's 20 people deep, and the product is consistent and it's amazing.
I'll tell you what.
And it's relatively inexpensive.
I would put up that the empanadas are more profitable.
I don't doubt that at all.
Because I think we're like, shout out to whoever's listening. I think it's like you almost get from, plus the restaurants that do it, it's like a 300% markup for whoever the fuck sells them.
Why do you think Mexican restaurants are so like profitable everywhere?
Yeah.
The product is cheap. And they can charge whatever they want as long as they make it taste good.
And there's no cooking for us, or there's nothing there. Sure. So that's pretty cool. If we were to get the stand in Jaguar, someone else would be working that shit. But like that is cool. It's like the sidestep of a restaurant. My dad originally like wanted a restaurant. It's such a hassle.
No, fuck that. I want a food truck or a stand.
Now we have a food truck customer.
And once you sell out and you're done.
People resell our shit.
Exacto.
All the time. People have come down from North Carolina, from Georgia, military families, and then they would just say they made it. They would sell it over there.
Let me get a case. This is like, shut the fuck up. I'll sell it down here.
But yeah, I think we're caught up on what we've been doing, where we're at.
And we will never get caught up on what's happened in the world. This is our week today. I think this is the first time we mentioned the name of the podcast.
No, we talked about OWT.
We did OWT, baby. No, I mean this particular episode, since it's been so long. So as you probably know, we're a current events podcast, which it's ironic that we took so much time off.
I would say it's a part of it. I don't say we're just current events.
Let me explain.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you did not. You set me up. Check it out. I think there's a reason that we took a step back. It wasn't just work burnout. It wasn't just like holidays and like other stuff that we had to do. There was just too much. And it's probably a persistent problem. It's probably going to continue to affect me at least, but I felt like I was whining a lot. I felt like I was like tired of talking about bad news or things that were going to like probably not be good in the future, with which in effect. I mean, ended up being true. But at the same time, like, do you always want to be Debbie Downer? Is that why you want people to listen to your show? No. Like, I think, like I said before, we try to be funny, we try to be quippy, but this is going to be the solution. This is the silver lining. And it's also, hey, this is the sun coming through the clouds. You know, we do our best, but if all you're doing week to week, especially if you do a weekly show or even more frequently than that, and all you're talking about is how shitty everything is and making fun of it, that's not helpful.
Yeah. And when you do something you don't enjoy, then you lose the quality, the passion.
I think that
goes into it.
All of that together with, other things and events in our lives going on, that's probably why we took time off.
Yeah.
And that's good.
No, it was good.
Right.
I think it was needed. I think that here's the other thing. Being that I worked the past almost 7 years in social media, and being in Colombia where I wasn't really on that much, I was living in the moment.
Unplugged a little bit.
Unplugged a lot.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I finally felt like, oh, I am a victim of it. Like, I could feel the negativity. I could feel how it affected me. I could step back and look at what it was doing to me. And I think that was one of the major. Tell them to unplug every now and then. It's life changing. Some people take drinking breaks. Some people take weed breaks. I think there is a good argument for social media breaks. Absolutely. And your phones already come with programs that do that for you. You can override easily. But to piggyback on what you were saying is that there was a lot of negativity. Like
we weren't ready for that.
Even if you're posting for a restaurant, a lawyer, whatever the customer is, you still are in that cesspool of something might come up where you're going to get hit.
The fact that Twitter users alternatively call it a hellscape, like good morning hellscape. Cesspool is a perfect word for just the collection of negativity that comes from social media. And you have to, if you're going to be a user of it and be a normal person these days, you have to accept that that's part of the game, and you have to have a strong personality to not say, okay, everything is going to be personal and everything is going to be intended violence against whoever the recipient is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sometimes like a guy could be fucking taking his shit on his toilet, just typing, laughing, and another person reading it just ruined their night. They're thinking about it, they can't sleep, they don't know what to write. So there is that aspect to that. A lot of people don't even think about that. It's like you don't know context or how someone is saying it to you, because verbally seeing someone, whether you word something you type, just on how someone is feeling one day,
right? How
you read it could be different the next day, and how you read it.
My company has a policy, and it's new because of COVID, obviously, that like half the workforce is now working from home. Everybody who has to be in a hospital is still there. So that's good. But everybody who's doing other things, administrative stuff, they work from home. And we all have to be on camera unless there's some reason we can't be.
Okay.
So the connection and the facial acknowledgement and things like that, that's
pretty cool policy.
It's something that, if you don't have it, you're not as likely to interpret the communication as clearly.
And someone might be fucking around. Let's get real. Right. Like that could also be one of the major things.
You might get a tube in on you.
Yeah. You took it out of my mouth. I was waiting for you to finish so I could just be like, "Oh, you can do Jeffrey Tubin." Shout out to Jeffrey Tubin, fucking jerking off in front of his clients.
No shout out to that guy. He's still an employee.
It was wild.
He got suspended, and then the suspension went away, and he is making money again for the same company.
Yeah, it's one of the worst companies of all time because they released an app and they had to close it.
We're not supposed to be partisan.
It's so weird.
It took less time for CNN Plus or whatever it's called, the streaming version of CNN to go away than Quibi.
That's crazy.
So
Quibi sucked too. We always shout out to Quibi.
We shat a whole chat on Quibi.
Yeah, we talked about Quibi before. I will piggyback on what you were saying. Is like there's a lot of negative, but this is what makes this podcast special. Because in one of the days that I was in Jacksonville, kind of just doing production work in the Empanada game, you just put on the Bluetooth. And I was like, fuck it. I want to listen to the first episode we ever did.
I'm ready for this, man. Let's do it.
It was awesome because literally, this was 2017, I think, or 18.
2000 what? What are you talking about? When we started? 2018. It was 2018 when you and I talked about when we were going to start it up. Then? We started it up in 19.
Okay, so it was 19.
Right.
In 2019, in that first conversation, not just in the living room sitting on a couch, we went everywhere. We talked about fucking school shootings.
We did.
We went into
it was post
prevention.
Parkland.
Yes, it was very close to Parkland. We talked about how we have a relationship with Parkland, how I used to play ball there.
One of my fraternity brothers lost his sister.
That's so fucking crazy. And we talked about different ways to prevent this in the future, which some of them were great ideas. We can get into that later. We also talked about fucking Johnny Depp and his crazy girlfriend at the time. We did. We were like, this bitch is crazy.
It was relevant then.
It's both
frontline or front page headline now. I mean,
it was the week of the school shooting, and I heard this podcast. I'm like, it was just topic after topic and that is really why we are the
Time Capsule Podcast.
Time Capsule Podcast, because we touch so many subjects that some people just continue to the next one. If you listen to some of the episodes, it's like you're going to hear some things like, oh, I forgot about that, or I didn't know about that. Go down your own rabbit holes.
So, I mean, we did our homework before we even started on episode 1, and we knew what we were going to talk about, and we knew how it was probably going to be received. But for me to look back and say you could have the same relevancy doing episode 1, 2 weeks ago.
Society in 2022.
Jesus.
That's insane.
With a totally different political atmosphere.
Totally different. But it was a lot of the same things that could have been good. We talked with just in the gun control stuff, not to get into details, but we come up with.
Well, go back and listen to episode 1.
It just some parts may be painful, maybe in the beginning, but it gets really good. We were all over the place. It was cool. It was interesting.
It was good.
It was interesting.
I had a time of my life.
Have you seen any good shows, or
have I? I watched the last episode, or the most recent episode of The Boys. Today, you haven't watched any of
I'm waiting.
episode 3. You're gonna just binge it. I think it's getting worse. I think it's getting
shark.
Well, it's every episode.
I know the pills now that they can take to have the power. It's guys
Spoiler
are
alert.
Showing Amazon.
Spoiler alert. It's getting more predictable, and they're shocking just for the sake of shocking,
which is what they do.
And you're like, okay,
we get it, yeah.
But it feels like they're trying to tie it up. So maybe this is the last season.
Okay.
So, and that's fine, because why not be a flash in the pan that makes an impact?
They're releasing one episode at a time?
Yeah, it's every Friday. Okay. So every Friday, Amazon Prime, go check it out.
I love the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, very, very good. Very controversial, extremely bloody.
Different. I love the actors.
Yeah, and like the dark comedy is something that you can expect. But like I said, I feel like they're trying to be controversial.
No. They're going too much into.
It's like
we're known for this.
Okay.
Let's keep going for that instead of just letting it roll naturally.
I mean, maybe it is rolling naturally, and that's just like
just how it is.
It's just how it is, and maybe that's just my reaction to it. But tell us what you think about it, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out, and we'll do another.
I like the show. I think it's good, and it's got a lot of talented actors.
Any movies?
I did actually have a story about. A special shout out to XYZ Films. So as you guys know, we intermittently reach out to different film distribution companies, typically doing independent stuff, a lot of documentaries.
We interviewed their director producer of one.
We did, and we participated in South by Southwest a couple of years ago when everything was online and they were giving everybody access. We just applied and they took it. So we're going to continue to try to do that.
Absolutely.
But we met a lot of agents that are hot to get their product or their client's product out in the field so people can do reviews and talk them up. And one thing, shout out to Ted Geegan. So this is a guy that sent me a couple of screeners, and this new movie called Brute Force. And I know that's it sounds silly, but it's brute as in the wine, like brute. And there's almost no wine in the movie at all, but it's about it's like a murder mystery in wine country. Totally indie movie. 3 or 4 of the cast and the crew are from the same family, so it's obviously something that people have been trying a while to get made.
They probably put the money in together.
And It's about this reporter who gets fired or loses her job in some way, which is altogether relevant for today, right? I mean, we just had a very prominent reporter just lose her job at CNN for mouthing off on Twitter. Excuse me.
I don't even know that behind. I just know someone got fired. I'm like, what wars?
Hot fucking story. Anyway, don't tweet your opinions if you work for a major media organization, a woke company.
No, you're fucked.
That's the lesson learned. Anyway, so this lady, and that it never gets into why she was let go, but she goes back to her hometown in California. Her stepfather owns a winery, and there's a competing winery that's trying to like buy them out. And all of a sudden, since she's arrived, there's all these things that start to happen. There's a murder, there's a kidnapping, there's a lot of string of burglaries. And I thought the movie was well made, but you could tell it was pretty low budget. It was well acted, but you can tell the actors had little experience. So that's a credit to them. Was I glad that I watched it? Yes. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not.
You'd recommend it?
I would recommend it just to have a different experience at the movies. Yeah. And it's probably only streaming now.
And it's hard work, guys. Like I would compare that maybe to like watching an independent journalist or someone that's just doing something different than
we're doing it. Like we're independent.
I have to take a piss.
We're going to take a short break. Let's do a real quick beer review.
Okay.
What do you think of the Goose Island Neon Beer Hug? Is the one that you just opened? Well, that one is the Hazy Beer Hug.
Oh, I haven't had it.
So this is the fruitier one, 6.8% alcohol. It's got versus 7. So Goose Island is from Chicago. It's a small craft brewery in Chicago, and they have several different lines. A lot of them are good summer beers. I would say that this one is it's up there. It's not quite an SPF or a
it's okay.
Lost Palate. Yeah, it's okay. It was on sale at Publix BOGO. So
it's not bad. It's not
bad. It's not great.
It's just if you like
hazy IPAs.
I guess a hazy IPA, but I've seen hazier. I've seen, you know what I'm saying? It's just this brand is usually on the higher end of the price. So for that price, I would only get it if it's BOGO.
Absolutely.
That's what I would recommend.
100%.
Something like this, maybe like
yeah, give it to me. Come on, give it to me straight. I would say I think I like the Neon better than the hazy. I don't know why that is, because I like a hazy IPA.
I like fruit IPA, but this doesn't remind me.
It's not fruity enough.
It's not.
You hear that, folks?
6.8.
Just
I was gonna be nice and maybe go 7.1.
6.8 is also
it is what it is.
6.8% alcohol and 6.8 on the score. Boom! Totally. First time on the show.
I did not even know that.
Got it, dude. Now
I've had this.
Compare it.
This is way better. First of all, 7% alcohol, so you're gonna get a little bigger kick, but
maybe it's
honestly, it drinks smoother. The hazy has a like
a little bit of an aftertaste.
You'll feel it. This one's a little bit smoother. I like the flavor more. Just for that, I would put this up there like a 7.4.
Okay,
it's not bad.
No, that's good.
What do you think?
No, I think that's fair.
I mean, those scores are fair.
I had a couple of these last night, and yeah, I'd say.
How did you feel after too? That's important. Great, nothing.
Yeah, it's a drinkable, but I compare it to similar kind of like high content, which it is, IPAs that have less hop on the back end. So I'm not talking about like a High Line. Cigar City High Line is one of my favorite beers. It's actually
great fucking beer.
It's my brother's like all time favorite.
It's a great
7.2. If you have 2 or 3 of them without like walking around, you feel like you're high.
Shout out to High Line.
Right. And then compare that to something like Lagunitas, Little Something.
Also great.
But that one is a little bit higher in content. I think it is more like a 7.3, 7.4. And then it feels smoother, and it actually feels fruitier to me. So there's almost no bitterness, no hop aftertaste. And there's a warning label like on the box or the
little lady
on the can. It's like, take it easy with this one because it'll sneak up on you.
Oh, it's badass.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that. That's a California.
That's right.
Great beer.
Yeah.
You always just, you're going to get something, a good batch. These, like Goose Island, they come up with some crazy stuff sometimes. Like they may come up with new flavors and stuff like that. I like consistency. Like I said, I like these when they're buy one get one because they're almost charging $12 for a 6-pack.
Right.
It's fucking crazy.
It's exactly
for this price. There's way better fucking beers to spend $12 for a 6-pack, but you get $12. You get 12 beers.
So when you think about it that way,
is
there any beer that's not craft that you would say, okay, I'll go ahead and shell out for? If you're not a Bud Light person, if you're not like that mainstream kind of like I'll drink whatever, which a lot of people are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for me, when I buy something and I want a domestic versus craft, something like that. If I'm buying something and I want to, have my friends or family enjoy it, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of the cheap stuff, and then I'm going to have some different stuff from the craft area so that they can appreciate it.
What would you put in the cheap stuff? Is that what you're asking?
I usually buy like Yingling. That technically is a craft.
It's a domestic,
but that it is also a domestic.
So this brewery in the country,
right? So that's what I would say is like my basement, and then I'll buy like a bunch of that, and then have some other ones for people to try that are different flavors and a little more adventurous.
Yingling is a great beer, and it's a good quality.
It's great.
Beer, and
it's great.
The price is great because it's out of Pennsylvania.
Pottsville, and we have a brewery in Tampa actually. So it's one of Tampa's saving graces. That's why it's so fresh when it gets here.
Oh, you mean Highlight?
No. Yingling has a brewery and distribution center in Tampa.
That's pretty cool.
It's the only other one besides Pottsville.
I had no idea. So, they have a great black and tan beer.
Black
one
and
of my
tan.
favorites. I'm going to say this.
Please.
I like, if you're going to go shitty domestic, that's a high quality domestic. That's probably
it really is
the top tier of the domestic.
The shitty beers.
If you're going to go that route, though, if you're going to go to
the king of the shit.
I actually like Busch.
You like Busch?
Oh my god!
I don't think I've ever even had one.
It was a NASCAR thing, especially like during the Busch series.
Absolutely,
that's what it was called. But like my cousin now is just here. He's a doctor, and he was just at the store. And he's like, "Oh, 30-pack," and he bought Busch. And I was like, "I haven't had Busch in a while."
Natural light.
So
bring it.
No, I think Natty's are a little bit rougher. Busch has like it was just good enough where it's like not annoying. You're not disgusted.
Yeah. Like, where I'm from, there's this term where it's like, okay, give me a boat beer, where it hydrates you and it also makes you a little bit intoxicated at the same time.
Okay.
And it's between 3.5% and 4%. That's like a Busch or a Natural Light.
Or a Keystone Light.
Keystone Light. Any
Have you had that?
No.
See, I grew up in New Jersey, so it was 30 packs.
Yeah.
And cans.
Yeah.
So Keystone and Busch were.
So usually
Milwaukee, the Beast.
Yeah, Milwaukee's.
I actually do like
the
Milwaukee.
Beast. I think it's better than.
I actually
some
do like Milwaukee's
that
Best.
bad.
I remember I enjoyed it. It's been a while. Once again, guys, it's like if you are going to drink from the lower tier, which is no judgment, it's great. It's like low budget, fucking a lot of beer.
And
I recommend Keystone, Milwaukee.
At our age, you're buying for other people too, so make sure that they're happy.
Now, out of the main brands, sometimes a Miller would be okay, but I think I lean towards Coors, which a lot of people are anti and they like their brands.
I don't love it. I don't like Bud Light either. I think
you had to pick from the main.
I think Miller is better than those two.
They have a little bit more quality.
It's interesting because
who I don't like is craft. I hate Sam Adams.
Really? You don't like any of them because they have like 100 different kinds now. Sometimes
I'll be like, when I have a good Sam Adams, which has happened, I'll be like, holy shit, like they did it this time.
My mom really likes the cherry wheat.
The cherry wheat's like, okay.
Yeah.
And but that's the one I would drink if like you have to go buy
Summer Ale for me is good. Like I'll drink that because it's like a Blue Moon type thing.
I'd rather drink Blue Moon. Like they charge like they're really high class. This is shit. A lot of their beers are shit. I'm sorry, Sam Adams. I know you
let them know.
Let them know. Not my cup of tea. The cherry one I don't mind. The Blossom, right? Is that what's it
cherry
called?
wheat?
Cherry wheat. That's right.
But I don't think they even have it.
It's seasonal, I think.
It's not even seasonal. It's like every other year or something.
Oh,
Because
really?
people buy it so quickly. Yeah. So anyway, if you're looking for a new beer to try out, I'm never gonna shy away from shilling for my home state. Go check out Abita. Anything from Abita, I like. Giacomo IPA, Purple Haze is great. There's a strawberry lager.
I
It's
love
delicious.
the
And
very friendly to the females.
go to for the amber.
I didn't know they were out of Florida. Where?
No, they're from Louisiana, from
Louisiana.
Abita Springs. So
I thought you said Florida.
Abita Springs is about a 30-minute bicycle ride from where my grandmother
Did you ever
my
do it?
dad grew up.
Did you ever do it?
There's a concrete path
Yeah.
that goes from that neighborhood all the way to Abita Springs.
That's
It goes further, but you can,
Maryland has that from to DC. A lot of bike paths from Maryland to DC.
Right.
I did that once.
incredible.
Second grade.
Wow.
Following an adult. Sounds my
You
life.
went to a brewery.
No, not doing.
Just
kidding. Yeah, probably.
It's like, this kid's got to drive us home.
No, it's just a bicycle. Fucking Maryland. That's pretty cool. So, beach station, you go swimming? Or is it like-
I wouldn't recommend it
Okay.
because it's Louisiana, freshwater, watch out for alligators, that kind of thing. I mean, if you're around a motorboat, then you probably it's probably okay.
Quick sidetrack is I noticed a big difference in not just price, but like for your bottled waters.
Mhm.
There's a big difference between the machine making it clean versus spring water. I'm always going to lean towards spring water.
Mhm.
I just think it tastes better. But that's just a side note that
My
I just
mom-
realized recently.
My mom kind of pointed that out to me recently. She was like, this Zephyr Hills, which they don't really have in Northwest Florida, tastes a lot better than like a Dasani or
Yeah, it's always
Aquafina.
garbage.
I'm like, it's water. I never really paid attention
I
to
do.
it.
I can tell a huge difference. To be honest, like I've done a blind taste test because I used to really like Fiji.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, this is Fiji. all day.
I still like Fiji.
Obviously,
Obviously.
I can pick Fiji out of like,
It's got mercury in it, but it makes you feel good.
I didn't even know that. It's great. That's not my favorite water. My favorite water, actually. I think
Here we
I
go.
brought it in, didn't I?
Oh shit.
Yeah, no,
He's off the reservation. I'm gonna keep talking.
yeah, no.
Come on, baby.
I like this one because they make fun of smart water. Show it to the camera.
There
It's
it
called
is. Eternal?
Eternal. So they're from a spring somewhere, and they're like, there's nothing smart about adding electrolytes to filtered tap water like most water brands do. They're making fun of smart water.
Mhm.
So they have it's just an alkaline.
So what do you think? What do you think is the point of that statement?
Because they're saying if you're drinking the smart water because of the alkaline and other stuff, like all they did was just add it to tap water. This is naturally from a source.
Well, I mean, they
It's
have to
gonna be-
back that up if they added tap
They
water.
did. He says the electrolytes to filter tap water. So they put in smart in quotes because they know they want me, the consumer, to know whether.
How could you get away with selling tap water with added electrolytes? Is that what they say? Is that what
You
smart-
can add
is-
shit to
is-
this stuff.
No, I mean, is that what smart water says?
They probably won't brand it that way, but that's probably what they do. If this
Do you
company's calling them
think
out,
people would buy smart water if
If
they
they knew
found
that?
out it was tap water with salt in it? Because it's what it is.
people are dumb.
People are stupid.
Yeah, consumers are.
Not you guys, not you guys,
No,
but
there's
everybody else is idiot.
And you got we're still advanced monkeys, and we're still deep in that advanced monkey brain of ours. We're very tribal, so we're very part of
Very
teams.
tribal.
We're part of teams, and that even comes down to brand of water.
Mhm.
The smart water person's like, I love it. Why the fuck am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have a couple that switch, but it's
I just don't know.
and they charge more, so they're also saying we're higher than
Where do you get this one?
Publix. And shout out to Bogo. That's when I fucking fill up the whole entire thing.
Hey,
Because that's really the only time I would get something like this.
Mhm.
Just fucking, I learned it from the Russians. The Russian would give me his fucking business card when I was fucking basically his assistant at one point, and I was like, all right, he goes, go fucking buy every single one. If you can stop me.
if you go back to episode 2, 3, 4, maybe in retrospect, you may hear more about Vadim.
Craziest Russian ever.
Insane.
Oh, plus Russia is very topical and current.
It is.
Every fucking day. Here's a timestamp for this podcast. Today
Here we go.
is the day that two things happened. Today, inflation broke a record.
Mhm.
We're in the highest inflation now
in 40 years.
40 years?
Before it was 30. Now it's 40.
All right. This is way more affecting people than probably back then. And just population-wise, a lot more people.
Mhm.
At the same time, when that news came out, the big news that all the woke media was trying to push is January 6th hearing.
Mhm.
So we are officially in the second day of them trying to start this trial big dick style by doing it in prime time.
Last night was day one or
I
night
don't
one.
watch any of it. I don't care.
I know people, I follow people on social media that are watching it constantly. And the things that they're saying have already been disproven,
Debunked.
some of them. And I'm just like, we're still not to the point where we can determine what is a real fact. You could be a year and a half out from an event and still not know what the truth is. It's incredible.
And we don't know the truth about Kennedy.
We don't.
Fucking decades. My whole thing is, and it has nothing to do with partisan. It has to do with like I watched a lot of the Mueller.
Mhm.
I watched a lot of the Comey. I watched a lot of the motherfucking just Senate hearings on Trump appointees for
Mhm.
different positions. Like I'm a nerd for that shit. Can I watch January 6th? I can't. It's a fucking circus. It is ridiculous.
Holy shit.
And the fact that it's on video that there's federal agents, provocateurs, is that the word?
Provocateurs, yeah.
They are on video pushing for people to break in and break the law.
Mhm.
Hardcore. Totally not arrested or charged.
Say more about that, because I didn't see anything.
Epps. His name is Epps.
Anything that connected, like the theory or the
No, there's no theory. This is
the
100%
question
fact.
to that.
I'm going to give you 100% fact.
Okay.
Ray Epps, the day before the January 6th or January 5th,
The armed
they're in
insurrection.
Washington. They're in Washington, yeah, with selfie sticks. They're in Washington. There's small groups in different places. Obviously, a lot of people came into town,
Right.
and there was allegedly no one really knows, but there was close to 1 million people, maybe more
Mhm.
there. That's wild on how many people were there. The day before on video, there's this guy.
I don't think it was that many.
No one has given an exact number.
It sounds.
The right says it's 1 million and over. The other ones are like 500,000 to 1 million. So it's a high fucking. It's a lot.
Probably over 500,000.
Here's the other crazy thing. Not all those if those people really wanted to take over the Capitol, they could have. Only a couple fucking morons that were egged on by what I'm telling you.
Guys, we're not saying this is the right thing to do, or that we support any of that, but at the same time, but like look at it from a common sense perspective.
You go armed in the United States.
If it's an insurrection and you're really trying to make a statement with,
you go armed.
And I would venture that I would say that 90% of the people that were there on that day were gun owners, and they don't have them on them, and they're still trying to make a statement. I don't know, because the other 10%, maybe they were.
Even if you're right, 90 is a lot. And those people would normally carry a gun if they're that upset to take over.
But they're in DC, and they were worried about getting sent to prison because they were carrying a gun in DC, which is illegal.
But if you're trying to do an insurrection, it doesn't matter. You go balls to the wall.
That's a good point. If you're trying to overthrow a government,
which they weren't,
you usually bring a gun.
You do,
right?
Yes, you need.
In Colombia,
you need two guns.
You need like more than two guns.
People were in the mountains of Colombia for 50 years trying to change the government.
Just waiting
with a lot of guns. With a lot of guns, like guys. So that's why. So
that's something that Americans maybe don't do very well, is insurrections.
No, we could do it excellently if it was real.
What I'm saying is, they tried it and they didn't do a very good job, because they didn't
that I won't accept and I don't agree with. And then I'll tell you why. And then maybe you guys will get it with my story. Because guys, I'm not trying to defend fucking morons that went in January 6th. They're absolute fucking morons. They're idiots. I'm not defending that at all. What I am just pointing out is you got to look at everything of like not on a team. That's the best way to go about these issues. And seeing this guy the day before in a crowd telling everybody you have to go in, you have to charge inside, egging them on.
So this is the federal agent Ray Epps, right?
The guy's name is Ray Epps.
Ray
I'm not gonna
Epps.
say federal agent. Ray Epps is on video doing this. One guy starts screaming, "Fed, Fed, Fed," because he was screaming crazy shit to entice people. It was insane.
He's a knock. You know how you tell he's a knock? He keeps saying he's not a knock.
The next day, during the madness, there's videos of him whispering into people's ears, and then they go forward into the fucking barricades and shit, still doing the whole fucking egging on.
Maybe he's just a very charismatic leader.
Here goes. Shout out to Revolver News, is one of the greatest investigative news teams there is. I think it's Revolver.
Who's like one of the?
It's a white guy who's a journalist who just had.
So it's not like a.
But there's foreign people on it too. But they do some of the best investigative. When they investigate a story, it's like everyone's on board for that story, and you're not going to be able to counter their facts in your investigation because they're that good. So they did this Ray Epps stuff. That's what I learned a little bit about it.
So it's not like a Veritas.
No, it's not. It's not. I got you.
Okay.
It's like these are the facts that we're presenting to you. Do what you want. The mainstream media is shit. So here's facts.
Right.
So facts is he appeared on an FBI list for a little bit online of like people that wanted to talk to, and his name is gone. People start bringing him up in congressmen and even senators start bringing him up during other hearings and things like that. And they always go with like, we can't talk about ongoing investigations, which is fair. They can't talk about it. They won't answer it. And he goes, but just tell me, like, okay, you can't talk about this guy's, but nothing. But how many federal agents were there then?
We can't talk about it because it's on.
They can't. And that's my point, is that it's happened before in this country and they did it again. And they hate Trump. So they're going to do whatever the fuck they need to do. I think there were people there egging him on. I think there was feds in the groups going in. I don't know.
Here's the thing. And I think everything that you're saying is well-founded, and I'm not going to disagree with it. But when you look at what is being done right now, and you look at the previous administration and the 2 impeachments and all these things, trying to make sure that
doesn't mean anything.
There's a straight line between the real crime and putting that person or people behind bars. What do you think is going to happen when nothing happens before you lose power? I'm not talking about November 2022. I'm talking about November 2024, when
if the Democrats have power,
it's not even the outcome of the current investigation, because the current investigation may find some people guilty. It may get some people behind bars, but there's going to still be the ongoing investigation that can't be discussed now, that will be able to be discussed after the current case is closed. When there's a different, and this is just my assumption, and we'll probably get to it in a little bit, that there's a different party in power.
A lot leaks more when that different party's in power. So meaning,
how could it be a good idea to not talk about the truth now, when in 7 months, the dam is going to break? I mean, you think there were a lot of investigations the last 5 years? There's going to be a fuckload of investigations.
Like Trump had an investigation and the guy got away because, I think, to be honest, if you pay attention, DC courts are very, very political, and they usually lean left. That's what the DC metropolitan, that rich Virginia area that touches DC is. It's very left-leaning politics, and you're also going to get that type of person in your juror as well. Very, very political.
You're talking
people.
about the Sussman trial.
Correct. So once you have an investigation, like you're saying, that actually went into the next administration, where a guy is clearly guilty of fucking a crime of some sort, to lying to federal agents and changing paperwork to make Trump look worse by erasing and that alone should be, once again, nothing. Washington, D.C. jury, we love you. You were going after the orange man. This is one of the subjects I want to get into, this term. The ends justify the means, right? Is that what it is? Is that the famous term?
It is. That phrase is extremely relevant right now.
I heard someone talking about it that from just only Republic, both parties do that. A lot of people do that. it's the people that don't do that have conversations that you should align yourself with or at least listen to. Because it gets so dangerous when you roll with that philosophy, which most people do.
Here's what it boils down to for me is, can you still talk to your family after you've spoken out about an issue?
Yeah, you should.
But if you don't, then there's other issues. It's scorched earth.
There's way more.
The ends justify the means.
You have someone.
I'd rather not see my family because they have different political beliefs than me.
You have unresolved issues if that's
ridiculous thing, or a psychopathy. It's something that in your brain that you don't want to be around your family.
I've seen broken people. Sure. It's crazy. Like how addicted they get to. They're mostly online, thank God. You don't really see these people in public and walking around. Thank God.
I would love to talk more about that.
I would. Oh my God, can you imagine? I'm always excited when there's like where I'm going to maybe a little social gathering and instead of, I hate small talk. It's the worst in the whole entire fucking world. But if I hear someone get into like just mention politics or mention a subject that I have some knowledge on, I'll let them speak. Let me see what you do.
It's better to be a good listener.
Always listen.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not saying you're putting yourself above another person.
Maybe correct them if you need to. Depends.
Do you want to be the person who starts out with actually?
Not actually. You're like, no, but did you know?
It's like, and I'm not going to pull out my phone and show you proof.
I'm not going to show you shit, but you can research it.
It was like, I watched it.
What you just said is complete bullshit.
Yeah, I watched it. I saw it happen.
Yeah, that's kind of.
You don't have to believe me. You go look at it, and we're good. We're good. Just you go look at it, go watch it, and you're gonna see the same thing that I saw.
To me, one of the worst evils in this world that if we do enter a new paradigm, if the United States, where God hopefully it doesn't happen in our lifetime, falls or anything like that, for a society as big as ours to live a more fair life for not just a few people to be that rich, you have to get rid of interest and compound interest, or maybe fix that really, really well. That's really, really fucked up.
What do you mean? On debt?
I think that like I was trying to connect this all to what we were just talking about, but I'm jumping aside. No, the compound interest to me is one of the most evil things ever invented that just kind of creates almost like
a death spiral for somebody. So they can never get out. They can never get out of.
Yeah, it creates a nice barrier to keep you where you need where certain people want you to be.
Fair.
And you're making money off money that doesn't exist, because when you take out, there's $100, you have, let's say 20% interest, right?
So it's the loan shark philosophy, right?
Yeah, but then the next month, say you only paid 10, or maybe you forgot, or whatever the case may be, you are now going to have interest on top of the money you owed on the other interest. Money had never existed.
Correct.
So I was trying to think of how the fuck I was going to connect this to what we were just talking about, but I totally lost my train of thought.
God damn it.
What was the subject about right before the compound interest comment? We were just talking about.
I feel like you brought it up organically. I'm sorry.
But it had to do with what we were just talking about. Anyways, sorry guys. It's been a long time. I'm a little rusty. I speak for myself. Trevor's doing great.
It's going to come back to you later.
But yeah, I fucking hate that. There was a reason for that.
We're talking about getting people.
About
holding people accountable for
the differences, the separations.
Yeah. And you really.
Yeah,
like you jumped like 4 spaces.
Here's why I jumped on in the 8D chess move. Those people that created that system that has kept multi-generational wealth for a small group of people. Let's be real, like
out of the picture.
Where the United States does not own the Fed, but someone is making money on the Fed, and you look into like who the fuck owns the Fed then? How does that work? Who gets those payments from interest that the United States are? That's crazy. But my point is, divide and conquer helps people like that stay in charge, because while you divide, you pay attention to each other down here, but you never pay attention up here, and it's working to it's one of the best right now, because you're right that with the family thing, they're so into it that. It's scorched earth, like you were saying earlier. For this is my belief. There's nothing you're going to say. This is my team.
I don't want to say that the Trump era.
It's
it made it nuclear.
It was a miracle. I am grateful to God just for that, because it exposed things that I knew in 2004 when I started waking up in my own way. That it was so hard to try to express that to a person that's That's just an experience just of the Trump era?
Just have a rational conversation with them about, like, this is how you felt about that. Was it automatically, oh, we have to do something? Or was it like, okay, let's sit and talk about it?
What do you mean?
Because so much of the last administration was based upon reaction. It was an emotional reaction to an action
attacks too by the people that present the information to the public.
And so what that automatically did, and was amplified and magnified by social media, was it told you either how to think as one of the right people or one of the wrong people.
Here's the thing, they put you next to skinheads and KKK and racists. So it's just like, what the fuck? Even the black people that vote for, like, what?
So so why can't I think racism is wrong, but also disagree with this economic policy?
Oh, you're racist. You're racist. You're MAGA. No.
It's going to continue.
I'm public about it.
Here we are.
I voted for Trump, and this is the first time I'm probably saying it publicly on anywhere.
It's probably
here's
the first time you're saying it at all.
And I'm gonna get backlash. Here's one of them. Number one reason. I watched every fucking debate, especially the primaries. But I'm talking about the presidential.
Primaries were better than the general, the last presidential election. I thought more entertaining anyway.
If you were listening and not just emotionally reacting, and you heard what Hillary was proposing for her foreign policy, it was so fucking wild. I'm going to give you the main one. We're going to the main one in a second. But I was just like, my little brother is about to fucking be in the military. I know that's what he's going to do. And already I don't like the policy, but just to add that on top of it, so I'm gonna fucking there's no way you should ever have power, you crazy cunt.
There was the political, now it's the personal. You made that connection very, very quickly within a matter of sentences.
Here's the main reason.
Within a debate.
Here's the main reason. She straight up said that because Democrats are obsessed with Russians. She straight up said she would immediately implement a no-fly zone in Syria, which to anybody that knows anything, that's pretty much saying we're going to war with Russia.
It's a declaration of war.
It's a declaration of war.
Someone is getting shot down.
So a guy that offends you, a guy that you might find racist, a guy that just is being portrayed as maybe the next Hitler, right? It's saying actually things that kind of make sense. And then I hear this crazy bitch, the alternative that you guys are proposing to her. I would never. I'm the most anti-war person there is.
What did you think?
I would never vote for that policy in a million years.
What did you think?
Just that alone killed it. Sorry.
What did you? No, it's okay. I love
that. That was my reasoning, guys. I wasn't a MAGA fucking person. I listened to everything they both had, and she was fucking insane.
Based upon that, what did you think when Trump ordered a strike on Syria for chemical weapons and massive?
Because that gave the media such a boner. It was cool to watch MSNBC when that happened and put it on. And guys that normally hate him, especially the guy that just quit, Chris, very charming guy, but he's been fired from other networks. He just quit MSNBC. I'll think of his name. He's very famous.
It's not Hayes, right?
I think no, not Hayes.
He's going to ride that.
He's a guy that was from a major network that went to MSNBC.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
we'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it. Not important. He had such a boner though. He was so happy. He hates Trump. But when he kept showing those videos of the missiles flying out, he was like, "Oh my God, we're the best."
Everyone becomes a war journalist.
I didn't like it. Then I'm like, Trump's not just like crazy. So let me listen to the details. And the details were he purposely attacked a non-civilian airport where he knew that there was. It wasn't even chemical weapons. It was an airport, and he was attacking where there wasn't really any people.
Okay,
he was just attacking shit, which gave him points not only with the left that love war now for some fucking reason. The Cheney left, I would call them. No one loves more war than a Cheney, for God's sakes.
Halliburton.
We could talk about that. You have that. I already lost my thought because Cheney just drives me fucking nuts. Oof. I literally lost my train of thought right there. Shout out to the whiskey.
So Trump's strike on Syria. It was almost universally applauded. But
I was like, I get it. That's how I feel. Why. I understood why you did it and why you had to. You have to keep the military industrial complex happy. You have to. Because you don't, you die. And if you don't die, you get ruined. And there was already a part of the military industrial complex that he was at war with. There's a lot of people that infiltrated his staff. Yeah. That's where I think he fucked up. He hired some of the wrong people. Anyways, that we're sidetracked.
No, he was listening.
The other one was the strike that he did on the general from Iran. That was interesting.
Soleimani. Cool. And it was totally like,
But that was almost like, that was, to me, that was to China. That was a warning to North Korea.
If I can touch you here, I can touch you anywhere.
That was to fucking anyone that says, look, guys, I have it in me. That if you fuck around, I'm going to fucking use what I have to target strike you.
I think that's what I was getting at, is that you can't have a foreign policy that says we're going to be ready to go to war at any time forever. No, it's too expensive. And then also, I can touch anyone on the planet that I want to.
Yeah, now it's less money.
Yeah. Which I think is a smarter foreign policy.
And this can't be debated. And the left, or not the left, but very crazy activists that just Trump made them psychologically crazy. They can't admit that he brought peace. He did a fucking.
He didn't start war. Let's just say that.
One of the first presidents to not start a new war.
He didn't start war, but he did not kill people.
And he sold a lot of weapons, which I
did sell a lot of weapons.
That's our system. We sell weapons.
Compare him to Obama. Obama had
the same guy, but he is protected by his presence and who he is. The first black president's important, and I agree. I think that in 08, that was very
let's wipe
important.
away the pretense and just put their policies on the table next to each other and compare them. One was willing to have unlimited.
I think Trump was
drone strikes.
More peaceful. Trump was way.
One was willing to strike where there were no other strikes and be like sending a message saying like, look, do not fuck with us. So one was a constant presence of military intervention, and the other was do not test me.
Super expensive.
So I'm just compare the two, but I want to get your reaction.
It was a no-brainer. That's why I think like once the dust settles and we have new humans that didn't live in this generation and they look back, it's unquestionable how much peace there was. Like he was trying to make peace with Russia and he would just get attacked for like, why are you, I didn't like the Venezuela stuff.
That was dumb. Trying to make peace and be Russia's friend.
I'm okay with that.
He was already under investigation for colluding with Russia.
But it was fake.
I know.
I'm okay with that.
Stupid.
You can't stop.
It was feeding.
You can't stop.
What he should have said was, look, we're not going to do any special deals.
Trump is not going to admit that he was doing something that he didn't do. That's not in his wheelhouse. You're asking him to be like, take the L and say that Russia's bad. Where he's just like, I don't have anything to do with fucking Russia. I'm just trying to be friends with these fuckers.
Let me play off what you're saying. Do you think a President DeSantis would do that?
That's a thing that we don't know. DeSantis could be another Ryan.
A President DeSantis would stand up and say, fuck you. Like, here's what we're going to do.
I don't know. I honestly,
that's how he's like puppeteering Florida.
That's what I'm afraid.
But we just don't know. We just don't know.
We don't. He is the ultimate dark horse because we just don't know. I like what he's doing.
He's not the ultimate dark horse.
No. He's not.
But he's gonna be president if he runs. If he runs next time, he's gonna be.
I think the Trump effect is too powerful that he's gonna stick to this until he's done, and then I think he'll step in, and he's making his mark now. Like another thing that one of the stories. Shout out to Headline Queens.
Wait! This is the segment.
We're gonna segment.
I didn't even put it in my notes.
First episode, though. You know what we talked about? It was DeSantis signed a bill to eliminate sex dolls that look like children.
God, I can't even believe that was a thing.
But that was a thing. He had to fucking sign it to make it illegal in the state of Florida.
So let's circle back.
How can you attack that? Like if you're one of his political opponents, which are called journalists.
Guys, you don't take this with a grain of salt.
You don't give him credit for that.
You're alienating the people that have a base of people that are pedophiles.
I'm trying to think of that. Oh, like the Republican?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, I get it.
Must be.
I kind of get that.
No, any political party, just like whatever base has the most pedophiles. You're alienating them.
Now I get it. It took me a while to make. What is he trying to explain?
I didn't frame it.
No,
I phrase it very well because it's a really fucking hard thing for me to talk about.
That's my point about the Trump thing, is that it broke. I'm happy it happened just for my friends and the public to see how crazy broken people are and how crazy, like, it started slowly opening people's minds of like the world may not be how you always thought it was run.
It's fair.
Of like a family, job, like it opened your mind like, whoa, like where am I? What is going on? We start asking, what is going on?
Culture is changing.
Like,
that is 100% true.
Like, this guy on TV is telling me to do this, but like, kind of science says like what he's saying is kind of crazy. It doesn't work. Like people, you can't just keep tricking people. You can keep them in fear. That's why fear is so important, and the divide and conquer is important, because whoever's on top with the compound interest needs you to never have a good slow day at the pool where you can start thinking about that. You have to stay current with your bills, your life,
you have
your
to
current
always
shit that the current system always requires money to go into, and you're not.
It's not true.
It's not it's almost anti-human, because we're in someone's system that's making someone wealthy, and we're not just freely express ourselves. We may think we are, but we are always under a condition of a system that we currently live in.
It's a very philosophical argument to a really
that would be for next episode.
Material. It's a really material problem, That's good.
It's some deep shit.
It is. I'm not disagreeing with you, because I look at it today and I'm like, yeah, I want a better job. I want to make more money. I want to have civility in my community. I want to contribute to it. I want to have stability for my family.
And we have enough land that everybody can live really nice everywhere.
Sure. And that's not going to happen.
But here's the thing. Here's the one that everybody paints as the bad people. And I get it, are the ones that are like, we need you. You guys don't know how to take care of yourselves. So like, we're going to do it for you. You'll own nothing and be happy. That philosophy of like the people that go to those big conferences.
Do you think that would work as a state-run initiative?
I think it's going to be a worldwide initiative.
No.
What's going to happen is all the states are going to be infiltrated by this central command. Like all these people, like if Jeff Bezos, Tulsi Gabbard went to it. A lot of people,
Moloch.
They all go to
the owl, right?
Yeah. No, not even Moloch. Not even that, because no women are allowed there. I was talking about just like a young leaders thing where all these people that are currently in power there, fucking the Canadians there. What's his name?
The Prime Minister?
Yeah, Trudeau.
Yeah.
He went to that thing. So my point is that at the local level is the most powerful. And if the final end game is a world government, which is what the conspiracies have said since like the 1800s.
For those of you guys that are just tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, he's just
ripping right now.
If the ultimate goal is one world government that kind of has the rules for everybody, there's an argument that could work and that would be better. But since they're sneakily trying to do it without having the public's full backing, maybe because the public's not the smartest, and they think they are the smartest, it's like there's a debate whether it's evil or not, because most people in the conspiracy world think it's evil, that they're trying to do a one world government and countries as they are now, and to follow something that's going to give them safety. That's why it always scares safety and
well, look back in history
and convenience.
Look at authoritarian governments and how those have panned out, how it's killed more people than saved.
They always regroup.
Sure.
And think of a better system.
And who controls the majority of the world's military? The majority of the world's military funding and might and technology.
Country-wise or person?
Country-wise. It's not the people that want to build a world government.
That is where the beauty of the United States lies, because of the checks and balances.
Perhaps there are rich Americans who do want a world government, but the United States government is designed in a way that change is not easy. It's not quick.
And
there are rules that prevent the American military from becoming part of the world military.
I would say that if you look at a famous George Bush speech, the first one, senior, in the 91, I think it was, where he says his famous, like, we need a new world order.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is a good amount of people that are leaning towards that, hopefully
Like
with American interest behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, at that level, there is no more American alliance. It's a money alliance. You're no longer patriotic. Damn it.
Here we go. Taking a break. Shout out. We're back, baby. All right. So I feel like we had a great return to form where we talked about past episodes. We talked about our very first episodes. We talked about where we were, what we were doing the last 5-6 months. We talked about fairly recent events, but we have some other more current things to talk about, considering that we are more of a current events podcast.
Hit me up.
So we're not going to give you a coronavirus update. Nah, that's old.
No.
We're not going to give you a Ukraine update.
Yeah.
Twitter, Musk, buy. No, we're not going to talk about that. I have a problem with the Drudge report still listing like active cases for the coronavirus and deaths. They do a regular daily count of like what's reported that day, what's new, and then what's a year ago. And this is yesterday because I was ready for a show yesterday. There were 112,000 new cases yesterday in the States versus 12,000 cases a year ago. There were 403 deaths yesterday versus 384 deaths.
Wow, that's crazy how close it is.
Day before yet, or yeah, year ago yesterday. So there were 10 times as many cases and almost the same amount of deaths. I'm just putting it out there for anybody who wants to go and check that math. Check those statistics. It's wild, right?
I'm fine.
So a lot of people I work with got it for the first time this week.
Oh, okay.
And they all work in healthcare, but they don't work in a hospital. So it's like, what the fuck? What do you mean? You're getting it for the first time after 2 years.
I've never had it where like it's like, hey, positive, but I just remember telling this before, kicking fucking eggs with tomato and onion down and smelling. What? I was like, oh, maybe I do this. That was fine.
One of Nicole's friends just got like a week before last, and then she was trying to figure out, and she's a nurse and she works for my company, so take this with a grain of salt, but she was trying to figure out how she could get rid of it, or at least have a negative test, because she had a cruise planned for her and her family.
Just gonna keep taking tests until you get negative.
And guess what? She turned up negative and she was able to go on her cruise. But it doesn't mean that.
Everybody knows that trick, but I knew that. So you just keep going. These tests aren't reliable. They're eventually going to say no or yes.
I don't know that she even produced a negative test to get on the boat. I don't know.
We'll give props to Biden because he's in emergency mode from all the bad press that he got hit in a little bit. He's taken off.
He lifted the
24-hour vaccine mandate to come in, which, by the way, is the only goddamn reason I got the fucking vaccine is because I had to travel.
To those of you who don't know Juan, he's a little skeptical of modern medicine.
I just don't get sick and I don't get flu shots. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
I get flu shots, but I don't get sick. So.
I don't get sick. I don't get flu shots. I'm good. I was just like, yeah, let's see what happens first to everybody.
So I'm a little conflicted about what to talk about first, because I have a really fun story from Florida, and we've got a great Florida man type thing, but in this case it's more of a Florida woman, and it's local too, so it's a great story. I actually got this from the New York Post.
Oh wow.
So it's making national headlines for better or worse.
And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so there's this Winter Park, I guess she's no longer a wife because she's on trial for stabbing her husband.
Oh wow.
Who was rich. He was 20 years older than she was. They lived in a lakefront house in Winter Park, so you can imagine how much,
they have a lot of money.
Well,
we don't have oceans here, but we have lakes, and if you live lakefront, it's money.
Yeah. Well, he was an NBA executive, and then he worked for a university. The story didn't say which one. So it was probably still, pretty prestigious if he was willing to step down from the NBA.
Yeah, he got paid.
But he was 65 when he was killed. And so she was 45, or she's 45, 46 now. Anyway, it's not a weird story, right? It's just like, she's under investigation. She's on trial. That makes sense. 20 years older. Could have been her dad. Wasn't her dad. It's actually her stepdad. So he married her mother.
Who was fucking her?
No.
Okay.
3 months after his dad, or after he married her mother, the mother passed away from breast cancer.
Oh, that sucks.
Very sad. So the stepdaughter.
Money comes into play.
Well, anyway, according to testimony from everybody that was ever around them, she was nuts. Like, she wanted to kill him, and she would vocalize about wanting to kill him all the time. And he would say, "Oh yeah, no, my wife's nuts. Just keep the steak knives away from her."
Wife?
The wife.
The breast cancer lady?
No,
the daughter.
The daughter. So the daughter, who is now the wife of the old
man.
He married her.
Oh, I totally
he married his stepdaughter after her mom died. And then,
what a fucking lady killed
so the trial is ongoing.
He probably was gonna cut her out some money.
Here's the killer.
Literally.
A few hours after they're tracing back to the time of the man's death, she was looking through like dating apps, like Tinder and things like that. So she didn't even clean up the crime scene. She left it out like, he's dead. There's like a mop and a bucket and a bunch of blood on the floor. And she was like,
That's a crazy bitch. I would love to see her one day.
Anyway, so this is like Winter Park.
Yeah, this is really close.
Winter Park is about 15 minutes from here, and it's probably one of the nicest.
Is she pretty? There's her picture.
I mean, she's 46, and she's not bad looking, but she's not young either.
46-year-old women.
Yeah, I would imagine
at that level of rich. Sometimes they look pretty.
I don't know if there's any lawyer in Florida that's going to get her out of this one.
No, they're going to make some money trying.
Wow. Well, some lawyers don't get paid unless they win. This is not an endorsement. This is not a commercial. If it is, Morgan & Morgan, some fucking money. Fair as Jackson, you guys. We're using.
I love y'all.
Shout out. So we were talking a little bit earlier about, and this is more like current event stuff, so bear with me. A little bit about gun control and how our past episodes have talked about it. His speech the other night, that was prime time. And then,
which is crazy. I would watch everything the other.
A lot of people did. But on Wednesday, he went on Jimmy Kimmel, and he basically made the same. He was a little bit more jokey, but he made the same kind of points. Like, here's what we need to do. Here are the roadblocks. Here are the people that are not, cooperating, and it's blame these things for the reason this is happening. Yeah.
Republicans.
So, do you think either? Since you didn't watch either of them, I guess it's harder for me to ask the question, but do you think either performance would have been more compelling, like basically like a State of the Union type thing where you get in front of
Joe Biden
at the White House and you're like declaring, here's what we need to do, versus going late night and appealing to the American people? Well, the other thing is it was after the NBA Finals. It was aired at midnight after the Celtics won.
Here's the sad part. That probably gets more views than him doing it just in the press and CNN streaming it.
Did he get a bump in the polls?
Got a bump. No, not in the polls.
1-2%.
I didn't hear the conversation,
right?
To be able to honestly answer that.
Sure.
My point is that he strategically went on that show to announce his agenda because no one else would ever fucking listen to it if he just did
just a speech.
He was crazy though. Trump would speak and everybody would listen.
That's a good comparison.
Everyone would listen. The people that hated him, the people that loved him, and the neutrals would just listen. Why didn't no one listen?
What would you say? Did you listen to McConaughey's speech?
No, I didn't.
So I would recommend to do that. I thought it was good. I thought it was.
He was at the White House.
He was at the White House. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who initiated that? Whether it
The
was
press secretary does.
so
They invite everybody.
she said
she's in charge of all.
She's like, I
The
know
black chick. No, it used to be
Karen.
I used to be. I don't know her name, so I just. That's not a racist thing, Fox. I'm just describing that it's not
to all of our listeners.
That it's not the redhead white girl.
We don't mean you Fox like.
Krasinski, what's her name? Saki.
And God bless her for going to
be honest,
jumping from the White House to a sinking ship. I mean, that's like charity.
Yeah, I'll give her this. She was good at her job. She was
really good at her job. But
spiel propaganda. She was good.
I had a great conversation about her just doing her job as a press secretary, because she did her job phenomenally. But I also felt, and talking to someone who's a pretty liberal friend, I said, she's more smug than she has to be. She's more no, I didn't think Ari Fleischer was that smug.
No.
I did not think that.
all the nice left, morally good people are all like that.
Okay, maybe it's a different. Okay,
it wasn't Ari.
Ari Fleischer was Bush.
Bush. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
He still goes on news shows.
I know Ari very well.
Walk around.
Ari goes on CNBC. I know Ari. I enjoy Trump's. They were always in battle. Which one? They were always in battle.
Scaramucci?
No, the first one was the fucking. I didn't like him.
McEnany?
No, the guy. Eric? No, what's his name?
I don't know. Who was
you don't remember the guy?
The first
Trump
press secretary.
He's on Newsmax now or something.
Really? That doesn't surprise me.
What the fuck is his name?
Use your phone.
You don't remember Trump's first secretary?
I should know this. But anyway, get back to
Trump's first press secretary.
What do you think McConaughey's
Sean Spicer?
Yeah, Jesus. Sean Spicer.
I don't like
Dancing
him.
with the Stars.
I didn't like him, but I love the girls. Kellyanne was a beast. No, she wasn't. Who the fuck was it after?
McEnany.
Oh no, it was the country girl.
Yeah.
What's her? No, not McEnany. It was the daughter of the former senator.
Oh yeah.
She's running for something.
I think
she's in politics now.
Yeah,
she was great. She's such a good humble Huckabee. Yeah. Because she was like a country, like nice lady, but like
they tore her up too.
They would attack like vicious dogs. It wasn't fair because they don't do that. They don't do that to the Biden people. That's it. That's why it's like
Ducey tries to.
One guy. I don't know.
Hey, man, someone's got to be the.
Yeah. Ducey's not bad. He's
getting paid.
But sorry for the. We were just a little nerdy side talk with politics, but we have a pretty large group that enjoys that too.
Yeah, and we have evergreen talking points, which is kind of what I was listening on in my notes. And let's get to a fundamental thing for this particular November's election season, I guess you could say, because it really is in full swing right now. You're seeing the primaries, you're seeing people win and lose based upon policy that they've held forever. Are school shootings / gun violence and abortion or Trump going to make it that close for Democrats in November? Or is it just a foregone conclusion that none of these issues are going to save them from the economic problems that we're in right now?
My hope is that the independents, the non-party affiliates that votes, it's probably the most powerful voting bloc in the country. Mm-hmm. It's like, they're like, oh, so this is what happens when there's no mean tweets. We just go with like the good guy that told us to pick, and life is changed quite a bit.
There's a statement, I'm not sure how far back it goes, but that, American politics, left, right, whatever, like the general culture is center right. So if you give Republicans,
as these people get older,
if you give Republicans more than half of the independents, they will win.
Oh, I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be to say, hey, fuck you guys and what you guys did these first 2 years.
I think McConaughey would get 30% of independents in a Texas gubernatorial race, and he would win just as an independent.
Oh yeah, and Democrats would vote for him too.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans would too. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think it's enough? Do you think that Warnock is going to continue to be senator in Georgia? Do you think Kemp is going to beat Stacey Abrams again?
Well, Georgia's
focus
fucked.
on- no,
Georgia's
I don't-
fucked because
I don't know.
they already eliminated the Trump bad guy.
They
They're
did.
they're just like,
No,
we're just happy with what we have, and
They are.
they're just who they are.
They're
Stacey Abrams isn't gonna win shit. No, she's not. She's running again.
Yes.
I didn't even know that. No, absolutely.
She's
not.
running again for a position that she said
Absolutely
she already
not.
had.
And you know what? I would probably even throw in there. There's just still probably racist people there that would never vote for a black person. So no, I don't see her having a chance. And that's not even close to the majority. It's probably the very minority of people. But I'm just giving you like, there's a lot of things going against her. Plus, her team is doing a shit job right now with all the power.
The biggest problem for Stacey Abrams this cycle is that Trump is not on the ballot.
That was her bread and butter. It's like, well, that's a lot of people with bread and butter, even journalists. Like, you saw a lot of people fall out of popularity after he left.
I think it's the biggest problem for the Democratic Party is that they're not running against Trump.
Yeah.
They're trying to make him and school shootings and abortion and gun control
It gets old.
the right now.
When you
But
go to
people are
gas, when you go buy gas, it's like you don't care about January 6th.
Well,
Or milk.
that's a great point about January 6th. And we're talking about that
'Cause that's
we
the Trump
did earlier
angle.
today. Yeah, it is the Trump angle, but the talking point that stood out to me the most was Alcindor. She works for NBC. Yamisha Alcindor.
No, tell me what happened.
She said, we as a party need to make the public care more about January 6th
Oh, I did see that.
than
I didn't know who
inflation
The black
and
chick.
gas prices and right.
I only say that because I saw a picture and the quote.
Sure. And that to me, it spoke volumes. I was like, wow, like that's a really,
That to me was like, duh, that's all you.
it's a really great insight, but it's also
It's shit
like
strategy.
you're telegraphing and
It's
you're
shit.
showing that you are caring more about things that people don't care about, and you're trying to force them to
You're
care
hiding
about
the
it.
bad stuff.
You're
Your
not
team's
even
doing-
hiding it. You're just you're redirecting, or you're training their focus on something that you have already forgotten about and you have no control
Here's what
over.
I mean by hiding it. By you doing that, you are initially
It's
hiding it.
it's
because you're misdirecting.
Misdirection.
Correct, which is back to the 42 laws of power that we talked about on here. It's like that's a key thing to someone in power is to misdirection. It's like make people think you're
We
going to
gotta
do
get back
something.
to that too.
We will.
You
We gotta
you
go
finish that
yeah,
shit.
We gotta see what
Like-
yeah. No, I did finish it, but we gotta go with the numbers again. Every episode is pretty cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think they have a good plan. They're in
Don't think so
power.
either.
People are
I
not.
really don't.
There's a sentiment like when you go, even rich people, like you go to the store, just everything's more expensive. There's really not that many things.
It doesn't have to be more expensive. You could just steal it. Just rob.
Which you can do freely in
San Francisco?
very, very liberal places there in San Francisco.
Shout out to
Yeah, shout out to you guys
Chessa,
for voting them out.
Chessa, Boudon.
Shout out to the voters there. I'm proud of you. I know it was the Asian community for sure because you guys are powerful. I saw the videos of how many attacks you guys were having.
He Chesapeaked.
And it's crazy because their argument is like, this guy fought for use,
Reduced
not to be
sentences.
charged as adults.
Mhm.
Like, oh wow. So that you think that even compares to the shit that affects actual people on a daily basis?
So he got kicked out.
Like few
That's-
cases versus every
Right.
fucking day life.
So he got kicked out, and that sends a message to London Breed, the San Francisco mayor, who gets to appoint the next DA.
And in Los Angeles, he's having a big
let's stick
battle.
on San Francisco and its problems because they're very similar, but London Breed has a test now.
Sounds like
So
a rapper.
So London Breed.
Yeah, he's a cool
It
rapper.
does sound like a shout out. So if she gets the message, I think she's going to appoint somebody who's a little bit tougher on crime and homelessness and things like that. If she doesn't, and she's going to double down, then
No,
she's
she's
going to
double
get kicked
down.
out.
She's gonna get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so let's table that for November.
Here's a
Or
fun
the next
fact,
time.
just to jump on that, is that I went and researched, and the amount of Asians that voted for Trump the second time went up. And I go after all this shit, it's only gonna keep going up, especially when he runs again. The Asians are powerful.
Rooftop Koreans.
Oh, those videos are good.
Shout out.
No one's more badass than the rooftop Korean. There's a couple military people.
He's
They're
the
pretty bad.
greatest of all time. Rooftop riot defense. Like
rooftop Koreans. Yeah. That's a pretty cool. Like I respect that.
Never forget.
Protect your property. Don't fuck
I would
around.
do it if I was a small business owner. I'd be up there.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. And that's what maybe landed on this is like, that's what Kyle Rittenhouse is doing. If you saw the daytime videos, he was with like rooftop Korean type people at businesses taking off graffiti and shit.
Yeah, I don't like him, but
I don't like him either.
Tucker Carlson did a thing.
But I was just pointing that out.
Sure. And I know you spent a lot of time with Tucker. He has his company has created a video or a movie, a documentary of this New Orleans situation where during and after Katrina, like right after Katrina,
with the weapons,
the police came around and picked up weapons, and there was a bar owner who had a shotgun and a pistol, and she was like, "You're not taking my guns. You're not taking my property."
Thank God, I love people like that.
And they forcibly removed them from her.
They fucked her up.
No, they didn't do that. But she was like, when I have basically like soldiers taking aim at me, and they're like, what am I going to do? Like, stupid. I was just defending my property from the looters and all that stuff. So
I don't like that at all. And I'm glad that he pointed that out because
check it out. I think that's like
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Or that he worked on the project with that. But I don't like gun confiscation. That's not the answer for.
Yeah, there's a book that propagated the movie, and a lot of it is interviewing the then sheriff of Orleans County, which is a lot of that area. So I'd be interested to hear more about that. But just from what I saw and read about it, I was like, wow, it's kind of a case for, small business owners, being able to defend what they own.
Yeah, it's like defending your family. And I just made a controversial statement that I'm like, not for gun confiscation. Yeah, it's because so many more people would die if you're trying to fucking implement that plan than the lives you're trying to save, in my opinion. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's a fact.
I want to, and just to piggyback on that, and I hate using that phrase, but it really is. And I'm not trying to close out with this, but I agree 100% that if you're trying to, if not, I don't want to say if you are, but if there is a pie in the sky way forward for Democrats to outlaw a certain kind of gun or a certain type of gun that they actually get,
it will open the door for all the others.
No.
Okay.
Civil war.
Oh.
And that is exactly not what anybody wants.
No, one side has more side of guns. There would be a stupid war.
It would be stupid.
It'd be short.
It would be short. But you watch what happened on January 6th of 2021.
Imagine they were all armed.
It wouldn't be like that. It would be very, very different, and there wouldn't be an organized response because everybody would be like, no one's going to do anything. But that's when you would see, like, okay, now we really understand. And I don't want to scare anybody by saying that, but you don't want to go that hard against Second Amendment or specific types of guns or whatever.
With guns.
Focus on the real problems that we know about. Take incremental, small steps that are actually going to solve problems that
the kid was 18 in Texas recently.
That hurt people, right?
Quick one, just really off the top of the head.
Real quick.
If someone's 18, have it where two adults can have to sign off that they're okay to buy a gun. And then those two adults can be liable if they do a shooting. Problem solved. And that might have some fights, but like, I think you can get a lot of people on the right that are gun crazy. It's like, yeah, why not? If the kid's good and we know he's just shooting, we can get two adults to sign for him.
Well, I mean, it never used to
be harder for that kid to.
I would agree, but that's a good idea.
My point is trying to prevent a psychopath from getting access to something that's easily accessible.
Go back to the start of that statement.
Psychopath.
Prevent a psychopath.
Which is almost impossible. But if you're legally going to buy it, I think there's some things you can kind of maybe do. I like the license. I like if you have to have a license to drive. I like a license to use a gun.
Do you think
it gives you training?
I agree. Do you think it's important for gun owners to have insurance?
I'm not that expert in that to know because I don't know the amount. I don't know the amount of lawsuits where it's worth it or not.
Well, to me, it's more like, okay, did you mean to shoot that person?
Or maybe
was it an
maybe it's
accident?
a crazy thing where you don't know if the laws are going to be on your side of the burglars.
Right.
Then yes, if you have a gun and you can afford it, why the fuck not? You should insure stuff.
That would make sense.
That
right?
being said, in Miami, quick story, ADT days, I went to a house that someone just moved into.
Right.
And I remember in the garage seeing huge iron chains or like bolts. I'm like, what the fuck was happening here? She goes, no. What it was is that the guy worked for an insurance company, but he didn't believe in insurance. So he locked his car every night. He was just
It's
fucking
like
crazy.
bolted up.
He bolted everything. It was, the security system was insane, but he paid no insurance. He was just anti-insurance for everything. And he worked in the insurance.
They're gonna try to take that away from me. I don't know. Let them
Yeah,
try.
he goes,
Let
he
them
goes,
try.
try. Yeah,
Yeah.
the security system was sick. The car had
I don't-
bolts in the cement, the chain, because the guy didn't pay for insurance.
I don't sleep. I don't sleep. I'm watching you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I figured it out. It was pretty cool. But anyways, guys, I think that this is great that we brought back the show.
We have
Not that we
came
brought
back with a
but we're
bang.
just-
This has been a long one.
this is a banger. We don't normally go this much, but the low battery signal's on,
Hey yo,
and I just
that
appreciate
it was
everybody.
almost fully charged, guys.
I appreciate everybody that
Especially-
listens to us, new listeners. And
Hey, follow us on Twitter. It's at Our Week Today. You can follow me at Trev_Jordan or Juan at 1 billion.
hell yeah, Instagram too. So just hit us up
Absolutely.
on these. We don't have such a big social media following, but we do have a lot of listeners. But you guys are on there, hit us up.
We're
We
worldwide,
do
baby.
respond to our messages as much as we can.
We're trying to get out to you guys, no matter where you are in our country or other countries. We're trying to explain to you how we feel about all these current event topics
Hell yeah.
and our personal experiences and how great things can be. We appreciate all of you, and we're gonna you first, buddy.
I was just gonna say, have a good weekend.
Have a good
week.
weekend.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been listening for a while, there's a little banger for you. Stay woke.
Stay woke.